So of course, it's finally time to talk about the episode that I've been looking forward to talking about, that I talked about many, many years ago, that I titled back then, Freya 1, question mark. Specifically, I had a question mark in there. Because it was one of those questions that, yeah, it's one of those, did Freya at the end of the day, did she actually win? Now, of course, in the story and all the, well, actually, those people are going to be like, actually, she lost, and I'm like, no, that's not really the question that I'm asking. From a technicality standpoint, yeah, you can scream like a 5-year-old going, yeah, she lost. But at the end of the day, I like to ask the more philosophical question of, did she actually win? Because, let's be honest here, even her own familiar members knew that she wasn't happy with the life that she was with. So she did this whole facade, she did this whole war game, and in my opinion, she won. She got what she desired. Freedom from the obligations and duties of being a goddess and being forced into this sort of same system that all the other gods and goddesses have to abide by. She wanted to be free, to be with the people that she cared about most. And of course, by this, she would be closer to Belle now. She's actually technically way closer to Belle now by doing this than previously. And that is exactly what she so desired. Freedom. And that's exactly what she got. Now, of course, Hestia does end up allowing her to stay in the mortal plane. It's one of those where some people aren't happy about it, and I mean in the story itself, but Belle, again, kind of pushes for it. And when this volume came out, there was a lot of pushback on people saying that, oh, Belle's weak, Belle's this, Belle's that, blah, blah, blah. They should have sent her back to the heavens. But again, it was Belle's decision, and Belle doesn't have any desire to send anyone back up to heaven. I feel like, again, what Belle did here was the right decision, to give her that freedom to finally be with the people who she cared about, to live that life that she so desires. And this is the thing from sort of a theory's perspective. I do hope she finds love, like genuine, proper love. But the problem is because she's a goddess, she lives forever. So finding proper, genuine love the way she desires is extremely difficult. And maybe there's some way that she can find true love on the mortal planes, and then when they do pass away, that she can follow that soul and be with that soul and kind of have some sort of a system. Again, I'm just kind of speculating, even though there's a lot of people that say, oh, this is how it works and that's how it works. And I'm like, I'm sure there's ways around it. But it's one of those where I do want Freya to have a happy ending, generally speaking. I know a lot of people want the harem ending. I talk about this all the time. But it's one of those things where I don't think the writer's going to go down that path. Maybe he will. I won't be so much opposed to it, but I don't believe that is the intent. Again, the writer's been pretty open about it. But I do believe that Freya, at the end of the day, with everything that played out, she did get what she so desired. That freedom, that ability to finally let go, again, of those responsibilities of constantly forced into this kind of cogwheel system of being part of the dungeon. But the downside to that is, yeah, the city doesn't really have her and her familiar members. I mean, part of her familiar members will go to other places. I'm not going to spoil. They might delve into it in the next season. If and when they do that season, I'll do a separate video on that. But it's one of those where there's definitely a lot of shuffling around. Now, certain characters stick around and stay close. I won't spoil who, but you can kind of gather, use your brain, think of certain individuals, and you can kind of click on who's going to stick around and stay close to Belle, and of course, Sia, also known as Freya, but Sia. So I think how they ended this season was perfectly done, as far as that last little conclusion. I feel like they squeezed it in. I think it was pretty well done. Again, I'm not going to be super picky. There were definitely things that I kind of wish they highlighted on in the previous episodes, things that could have taken maybe an extra 10, 20 seconds, but all things considered, I think it was a pretty solid season. I think they did things pretty well, and especially these last couple of episodes, they really went all out on making sure the fight scenes felt very impactful, very crunchy, very, very much heavy stakes. Really, like, you felt like those stakes were there, rather than kind of feel a little bit wishy-washy in the fights in itself, and really taking Belle's power to the next stage from having all those buffs on him. And then, of course, the next big thing that he got is big upgrade. And that just kind of felt very nice, very powerful. Like, you actually can feel the power, and especially that speed. There is some complaints about certain characters getting a little bit more of a buff up that's actually canon-based. Certain elf herself ended up getting a little bit more power than kind of in the light novels. I don't think that will be a big deal later on. I feel like they can kind of do it as a thing of the moment. We'll just have to wait and see. But it's one of those where I'm not super jaded on. I'm like, it'd be nice if they stuck close to the source material, but I'm not going to go too big out of my bonnet. I'm going to be pretty happy with how things go. Honestly, having a season 5 is a miracle in itself. I do expect there to be a season 6, so before someone asks, yes, I do expect that. And I will talk about where season 3 will go, because that will be much more spoiler driven in a separate video, because it's one of those where it will take some time, because there isn't quite the material there, and I think it's just going to take some little bit of time. I personally would like to see side story stuff delved into, like a certain elf girl's backstory. There are 3 volumes that delve into that. It is also in the game. I don't really care about the game because I don't want to go play a game just to get the story. I'd rather read the light novels. I don't like the idea of it being like, oh, you read the light novels, you play the game, you do this, you do that, and you have to like consume 2, 3, 4 different things to be able to get the full story. I prefer all in one medium. So it's either all in the anime, all in the light novel, all in the manga, all in a game. I don't like having to go to different formats. So it's one of those where I'm like, I just read the light novels and I enjoy it for what it is. Overall, I think it was a great season. The delay definitely did make things a bit awkward, because I feel like everyone was kind of like really watching it week by week by week, and then that break kind of threw people off, and then it came back. It did that double episode, small break, then the last 2 episodes sort of one week after another. It's a bit of a weird pacing. I understand why they did it that way because of how everything was. I do know from based on sources that there was some animation issues, so doing this delay probably helped overall, making sure those final episodes were as polished as possible. But it's also one of those where I feel like, as DanMachi fans, you're either going to be highly invested in the series because of the fact that it's 5 seasons. Some people just don't want to slog through it, and content creators, especially like those that are doing episodic reviews, you've either been going through it from the very beginning, or even reaction channels, you've either been watching it from the very beginning over the years, or you're trying to binge watch for it. But it's one of those where they're like, they'll just go watch something new that will get them better views. DanMachi is one of those where you've got to be kind of there from the beginning to really stay low, though some people do come into it when it's much more developed and kind of slog their way through. But I overall think it was a solid season. I think the reception for it was very solid. Yes, again, like I said, season 6 will probably happen at some point, but it will be taking some time because of the amount of source material available, and because we're entering in sort of the big arc, final arc kind of thing. Again, I mentioned in a past video, it's not quite what it sounds, but it is. So I'm definitely very excited to see how things develop from the light novel's perspective. As I've stated, if you do want spoiler content and you do want light novel content and character analysis stuff, check out my channel. I have a full playlist of all that stuff, so you can go there. Side story, main story, it's all there DanMachi related. So again, if you want more DanMachi content, not just now but also in the future, as I will be covering the light novels as more volumes come out, so do expect DanMachi content as time goes out. Stay tuned for more. Consider subscribing for more analysis content, not just on DanMachi but other content. And if you like this video, hit the like, subscribe, and I'll see you beautiful nerds in the next video.